Here he is, Tom Leykis. Thank you for tuning into the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon, no. I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. In this segment of our program, we're going to talk about something that's kind of challenging. Because, frankly, it would take forever to read all the material involved on the air, and I'm not going to do it. So, to a certain extent, we're going to have to depend upon the opinions of two columnists who have written about this situation. And we're going to hope that those of you who have read the material can help us fill in the blanks. Many of you have written to me and asked me what I think about this, and have asked me to talk about it. And until the last 24 hours or so, we weren't even exactly sure what everybody was commenting on, although now a transcript of the information has been released, and you can go read it yourself and then fill in the blanks, because this is not reading for the blind. I'm not here to read to you. If you're too lazy to read the material, you'll just have to do with the descriptions of the material from these columnists, okay? Once in a while we do something on the air. It's a little more challenging than what we normally do. But I don't mean to scare you off. I think it's exactly in our wheelhouse. It's something we all talk about and care about, especially those of you who listen to our show. So here it is. I'm going to start with a news article about the story, and then we will get to these two brief columns about it. And again, you'll wonder why we haven't talked about this, and as we go, it'll become apparent. The first story is from the Associated Press. This is not a column. This is a news story, and we found it on abcnews.com. It's where we begin. Harvard President Lawrence Summers released a transcript of his provocative remarks on women in science and said he relented to help his school get beyond the furor the comments created. But heading into a potentially contentious meeting with faculty on Tuesday, they seemed to spark another round of debate. The transcript of Summers' remarks given at a National Bureau of Economic Research conference last month and made public last Thursday shows him arguing that intrinsic differences between the sexes, along with family pressure and employer demands, probably play a bigger role than cultural factors and discrimination in explaining why fewer women than men have top science jobs. Let me interrupt this story right here. He is 100% right. And if you need evidence that he is 100% right, companies are bending over backwards trying to recruit women into math and science positions, IT positions, computer programming, software authorship positions. Companies are recruiting. They are going to career days. They are running around the country trying to find women to fill positions. On top of that, it is a statistical fact now that more women than men are going to college. There are more women in law and medical school than men today. Facts. Where is all this discrimination? I'm not seeing it. And Professor Summers is exactly right. And for telling the truth, he will be roasted. because being in education means lying to the constituency. By the way, I am not a college graduate. When I went to college, I went broke trying to go, but the 2 years I spent at universities showed me the hypocrisy of a college campus. The intellectual terrorism that goes on college campuses is outrageous. And I'm proud to say I had no part of finishing up college. Proud of it. Even though I recommend it to others, for me, the political correctness of a college campus is too much to bear. I couldn't handle it. So President Lawrence Summers of Harvard University, I stand before you and bow my head in approval. You said the right thing. You've got guts for saying it, and now you will pay for telling the truth. This story from the Associated Press goes on. Says here that Summers received a vote of confidence from the university's governing body as the transcript was released. The board's senior member posted a letter Thursday expressing support for the school president. Summers could face a no-confidence vote by the faculty next week, though only the Harvard Corporation could fire him. Harvard faculty, both critics and supporters, said there were few surprises as they read the transcript, but that both sides would likely find support for their arguments in Summers' exact wording. Steven Pinker, a prominent Harvard brain chemist who has publicly supported Summers, said, even though he mentions certain things as hypotheses, listen to this quote, even though he's mentioning certain things as hypotheses, by even mentioning them, he's broken a few taboos. So you're not even allowed to hypothesize about why women do not succeed in business, to hypothesize why women do not have top jobs in math and science. You're not even allowed to hypothesize about why that might be. You're simply supposed to accept the idea that there's some kind of unfairness or discrimination or misogyny or something at work here. There is some kind of illegal activity that is preventing the little ladies from making it to the top. And if you don't subscribe to that, you will be burned at the stake. It's outrageous. He went on to say, I thought it was a very careful and analytical treatment of the problem. But psychology professor Elizabeth Spelke said in reading the remarks she found them wrong point by point, though she welcomed the release of the transcript. In Harvard's Science Center Friday morning, a number of students said they hadn't digested the 6,700-word transcript, but planned to. One who had read it said she thought it cast Summers in a slightly more favorable light. Sopan Shah, a pre-med undergraduate, said she had come to believe, quote, Summers didn't mean to be offensive. Maybe he's just misinformed. Oh, yeah, he's misinformed. All he's doing is saying this is his hypothesis, meaning it's his opinion. An opinion cannot be misinformed. You may disagree with it, but you don't know the answer any better than President Summers does, do you, dear? No, you don't. Still, she added, the fact that he said it doesn't reflect well. She added, he's the president of Harvard. When you're in that position, you can't say controversial things without controversy. Why in the world are these things controversial? And by the way, what is wrong with controversy on a college campus? Isn't that the point of going to college? Debating issues, having a debate team. Somebody says something that somebody else disagrees with, and there is healthy debate among people. No, college classes and university campuses have turned into nothing more than politically correct armed camps where they're just waiting for somebody to say something politically incorrect so they can fire on them. It's outrageous. Says here that Summers' comments about an impact well beyond Harvard's campus. The presidents of Princeton, Stanford, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have criticized him. And graduate students at Yale protested Thursday because their school's president, Richard Levin, has not spoken out on the Summers matter. Summers said in a letter posted on Harvard's website that he released the document reluctantly at the request of faculty members and in the hope of helping 2 committees he has appointed to explore gender issues get on with their work. The transcript appears to support Summers' contention that he was discussing how, in the general population, men are more likely to have science and math test scores in the highest and lowest ranges, while women's scores are more clustered in the middle. Facts again. But in explaining why fewer women scientists rise to the top, Summers said he was inclined to favor the explanations of family pressure and biology as explanations over discrimination and social factors. He's right. And if he's wrong, why is he not entitled to express this opinion in public? Whatever happened to free speech, you idiots? Morons. God damn. In his January 14th remarks, Summers repeatedly emphasized that he was guessing, attempting to provoke, and hoped to be proved wrong. So my best guess, he said, to provoke you of what's behind all this is that the largest phenomenon by far is the general clash between people's legitimate family desires and employers' current desires for high power and high intensity. Summers said this at a National Bureau of Economic Research conference in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He also said in the special case of science and engineering, there are issues of intrinsic aptitude, and particularly of the variability of aptitude, and that those considerations are reinforced by what are in fact lesser factors involving socialization and continuing discrimination. Summers, who has apologized repeatedly for the way in which he addressed biological factors, reiterated in his letter that, quote, if I could turn back the clock, I would have spoken differently on matters so complex. Well, what choice does he have? Everybody is gunning for this guy, and they are wrong. Now, if you want more on this, I'm going to send you to do a little homework, okay? There are pieces that, if you're a Tom Leykis listener, you'll be outraged by these. Maureen Dowd wrote a piece, among other places. It's on the website of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer today, or it's in the physical newspaper today. Maureen Dowd. The title of the piece is called Speaking of Women But Not Well. And Megan O'Rourke wrote a piece for Slate.com. She's the culture editor of Slate.com, and Megan O'Rourke's piece is called Summer's School. Both of these are just outrageous pieces of material. What the hell is wrong with people? What the hell is wrong with somebody expressing an opinion? What the hell is wrong when somebody is expressing an opinion that gives every indication that it might be right? Why does this piss off the little lady so much? Tom.
1-800-5800-TOM. I think you're brilliant. I enjoy liking you and I enjoy hating you.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Daniel on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I on the air with you, Tom?
Hey, did you want to be on the air? Yeah,
I
sure.
want to be on the air. Nice
All right,
to talk
hold
to you.
on, please. I'll put you on the air. The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Daniel on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, listen, I think you're wrong about the Lawrence Summers thing. I think he really put his foot in his mouth, and he deserves everything he's getting.
Well, what did he say that was so terrible?
Well, what he said is that women have an intrinsic problem with science and math. That it's biological.
He said it was his hypothesis. Did you read the transcript?
I actually did read the transcript.
It is his hypothesis. He is entitled to hypothesize, and he is entitled to an opinion.
Well, wait, he is entitled to an opinion, but an hypothesis is a scientific word. It's supposed to be based on research and some kind of facts. This guy was talking out of his butt. He's talking about his kids playing with trucks. He's the president of Harvard University. The guy has a responsibility.
He is still entitled, as long as it is labeled as an opinion, to express it as an opinion.
And he's taking flack for it, and it's not free.
Well, the flack only goes to show how there is no free speech on college campuses. College campuses are nothing more than they are totalitarian organizations where you're expected to toe the PC line.
Nonsense, such nonsense.
No, it is not nonsense at all.
Hold on, totalitarian is what the Nazis were.
That is just what it's like. That is just what it's like.
Are you going to let me speak?
Maybe I'm not. 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Jamie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read the transcripts or anything, but I was just listening to you talk about it. And I think that it's less of a discrimination against women as opposed, it's more so that women as children, as girls, and also as students in college, are not encouraged as much in the math and science area. So they don't, it's more acceptable for boys or men.
I do believe that women who want to be successful in this field will succeed as long as they are willing to put in the hours and the time that it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
But I also believe that women grow up with an inherent dislike of math and science. And among other reasons, it's because guys are not attracted to chicks who are math geeks.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, but sort of unfortunate. Yeah, it's kind of unattractive, I guess, for a woman to be smart, especially in math, less so in science, I would think, because medicine is science, and there are a lot of women in medicine, obviously.
Yeah, by the way, let me read to you from this column in Slate. I'm not going to read the whole column on the air, but this is as much a reason for it as any, although the person writing the column is criticizing men for this fact. Here's what she says. Although matters have improved, we still treat the hard sciences and math as essentially masculine domains. The phenomenon of the girl math geek who frets that she can't get any dates continues to be a stereotype for a reason. Even if there were no overt discrimination, these factors undoubtedly contribute to the complicated interplay of socialization, bias, and genetics that lead to high-level disparities later on. So, you see, it's men's fault that we won't date female math geeks.
No, I disagree with that. I think that if women are attractive in many areas, that's when they get the dates. That's nothing to do with achieving in math or science.
Yes. Oh, I have found, though, that math geeks generally are homely, and therefore they've got a lot of time to hit the books.
Yes, and that fits the stereotype in that case, and that's fine, but they have to accept the fact that it's not about math or science, it's about them as a person.
Yes.
Not being attractive for whatever reason it may be, physically or personality. And also, you know, it has been proven. I learned this in college, and I can't quote exactly where I heard it, but men, and they're more spatially inclined, spatially as far as mathematics go, and things like that, like concrete. I can't think of it right now, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, well,
they're better at the multitasking and lots of things going at one time.
Well, again, these are all, anecdotal, but guess what? I think we're entitled to opinions that are anecdotal in nature. I think our experience has value.
I could not agree
and I think it has a lot more value than simply shooting down anybody who expresses an opinion that doesn't fit the politically correct demands of universities.
Well, that's the whole point of life is to have conflict and to resolve it. I don't know. To me, I think it's great.
I thought that was the point of going to college, was that people had debates, spirited arguments, discussions, compare and contrast. That's what it's supposed to be, but it's not. Women have taken over the college campus. They have taken over the mechanisms of college campuses, all of the student unions and everything, and they get together and they just start firing at anybody who disagrees with their politically correct opinions. It's outrageous. This piece by Megan O'Rourke on Slate, just outrageous stuff. And again, I don't want to read it on the air, but I recommend that you go read it. Just go to slate.com. Here's what she says here. The problem is that when it comes to choice, Summers, that's president of Harvard, gives very little credit to the notion that a woman who wants to do, quote, high-powered, intense work faces a slew of obstacles that men don't. Some of these are obvious, others probably aren't. A woman is going to find it much harder than a man to find a spouse who is ready to tolerate her 80-hour work weeks and obsessive relationship to her job. You're right. So what? Is that the fault of colleges? Is that the fault of the companies who are not promoting women to the top, even though they don't have the same credentials or aren't willing to work the same amount of hours as men? Is that the fault of the companies? I don't think so. Goes on to say she'll find it far more difficult to raise a family and far harder to move her family from city to city if her job demands it. Men, look at this, it's our fault. Men still do a lot less than 50% of the domestic chores and housework, according to recent studies. Well, how about you don't get married? But you do it on your own, sister, if you're so superior. And it says here, working mothers don't feel they have the same kind of built-in professional peer group to judge by the continuous arrival of books about the confusions and hostility that accompany modern working motherhood. A lot of that is coming from the kids, the little brats, the little carjackers of the future that you're raising, girls. These are all ways in which institutional and social factors shape both people's desires and their ability to act on them. But when a questioner asked if socialization might not have some bearing on what personal sacrifices women are willing to make for their careers, Summers responded skeptically. Goes on and on and on. You know what? It's not our fault that we do not want to marry women who work 80-hour work weeks, that we don't want to come home to a dark home, that we don't want to do more than half the housework. And as a matter of fact, we prefer not to do housework except when we feel like it, and that goes for when we're living alone or not. It's not our job to help women become nuclear physicists. I'm sorry. Nobody helps us do that stuff. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Evan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, what's up? This is Evan. Long time, first time.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. I just took a test on gender differences. I go to the University of Washington. I just finished taking my test. And a big question on that was name a real gender difference between males and females.
Right.
And I'm looking at my book right here, and I can quote you on my book if you want to. I mean, this is a study done by, well, let me say, there's 7 people that have done this study, or 7 groups of people that have done this study. And I'll quote out of the book. It says, let's see, beginning about the age of 12, boys excel in mathematics, especially mathematical reasoning. And this is cold, hard. I'm not going to say facts because it's psychology, so you can say correlation. But, you know, I mean, that's sitting there right in my book. So it's just ridiculous that this guy's getting flack for telling stuff that's been, you know, studied all over the place.
Yeah, well, again, what this is all about is people are trying to pretend that men and women are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not.
And I'll even give something, I mean, it also says, for the women's side, it says from infancy through the early school years, girls display superior verbal abilities, you know, including vocabulary, et cetera, et cetera.
Evidenced by the fact they never shut up.
Exactly, and I think it's still apparent when I'm in college. All right, anyways, that's all I got, Tom. I got to go, but blow me up.
Here you go, Evan. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
If there was no women in this world, what would you do? Y'all be running around circles, going, duh.
No, we wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
No, we'd be slapping the salami.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Mariana, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I just wanted to tell you, well, first of all, I have a degree in mathematics, a bachelor's, and my sister has a master's in nuclear physics. And I had a very successful career as far as, like, my personal life and as far as guys in college. I wasn't an unattractive math geek. And I hope a slew of unattractive math geeks hooks that guy up by his you-know-what.
Well, first of all, the math geek comment did not come from him. The math geek comment came from a woman named Megan O'Rourke, who writes for the website Slate.com.
Well, what he said was inappropriate for a president.
What was inappropriate about it?
It implies that women are not as good at mathematics or sciences or whatever you want to call it as men are.
It implies that they do not have the same interest in general. And as usual, women lacking in logic cannot see that it allows for exceptions like yourself. He did not say all women. And why is it that women are so devoid of logic that any time somebody mentions something that is generally true about women, the exceptions to the rule call in here and imply that the person said it was all women. He didn't say all women.
He did.
These are general comments about a general population, which are generally true.
He did say, in general, most women.
In general, again, in general does not mean all. Do you understand the difference? You may be exactly what you say you are, and that does not denigrate what he said. It does not make what he said wrong.
I do agree with you. He does have a right to his opinion.
And the fact that you may be an attractive math geek who had a successful career does not make him wrong.
It does in terms of voicing his opinion as a president of a large university.
Right. What is wrong with having an opinion? Yeah, I would hope the president of a university would be well-read and have opinions on a wide variety of subjects.
I agree. Unfortunately, those opinions should not be exclusionary of one sex. Now,
in no way did he exclude an entire gender. He was speaking generally about a general populace. Okay. And he did not leave out the possibility that self-proclaimed exceptions like yourself could exist.
Absolutely.
Generally, what he said is generally true. Generally.
Can I give you an example? In the previous century, in the 20th century, blacks were considered to be not as smart as whites.
Mm-hmm.
If that opinion was voiced today, it would be called racism. And it was a general opinion. It wasn't meant for all blacks.
I will say something right now. Sure. Generally, blacks have lower IQs than whites. That's generally true. That is generally true.
I think that...
Are there exceptions to the rule, like Condoleezza Rice or Colin Powell? Of course there are. But it's generally true. Now, you could argue, why is that? Is the IQ test unfair? Is it culturally biased? Is it illegitimate? Maybe. I don't know. But if you look at the scores of the IQs of Asians is higher than those of whites. The IQs of whites are higher than those of Hispanics. The IQ of Hispanics higher than those of blacks. That's how the test scores come out. That's a fact.
So what that means...
So we shouldn't say that's a fact?
What that means is that we should exclude particular racial groups from, trying to enter Harvard University.
Whoever said that?
Due to the
I didn't say it. The president of Harvard didn't say it. You think that I think Colin Powell shouldn't have gone to a university? Do you think I think Condoleezza Rice shouldn't have gone to a university? Do you think I think Walter Williams shouldn't have gone to a university?
But that implies that we should give up on a whole subsection of our culture due to the fact that generally their IQs...
No one said to give up on anybody.
But that's what he's implying. He's implying that it's okay because...
No, that's your interpretation of what he said. He was being asked at a public appearance... He was being asked why women don't rise as high in the sciences. Why don't they get top science jobs like men do? And he gave his opinion. And his opinion is that women don't want to give up on having families, don't want to devote the same number of hours in general. There could be exceptions like you, but generally that's what happens. And generally corporations have demands that you work hard. And this column by Megan O'Rourke in Slate essentially says that a lot of men don't want to sit around waiting for women to come home from their 80-hour work week. She's right about that.
I agree.
But she's attacking men for feeling that way. Tough luck.
Excuse me, I don't like sitting there. My husband comes home after...
Well, there you go.
...work week.
But that doesn't mean that anything the president of Harvard said was false. And he has a right to tell the truth. And he has a responsibility when someone asks him, he's speaking to a group of people, and he's being asked a question, he has a right to answer it honestly. But what country are we in?
he has the right to answer it honestly. But from what I understood from your answer, it wasn't, shall we say, he put his foot in his mouth.
He did not put his foot in his mouth. He said he was guessing and hypothesizing, and therefore he made it pretty clear it was his opinion. It would take a complete boob not to understand that he was giving his own opinion. And he has every right to an opinion.
He does have a right to an opinion, but it is an opinion that excludes others. And
I don't care what it does. It is an opinion that, you know what, has a lot of basis in reality. You just don't like it.